Bat Force Radio.
Bat Force Radio is rated M for mature, or should that be immature?
Hey guys, Dustin Wynn.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder.
This is Paul Dini.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
You're listening to Bat Force Radio.
This is Tom King. I write Batman Bitch, and this is Bat Force Radio.
To myself, threw up those three fingers and said, West Side?
How come you're grandpa? Are you older than everybody else?
I like Frank Miller.
Right.
Like, okay, and it's the stupidest name. It's the stupidest name, I'll be honest. And this is back when Instagram first started. And, you'd see all these, it was right when that Dark Knight movie came out.
Yeah, I've heard
and, it. And, like, all the Instagram Batman files were just Dark Knight this, Dark Knight that, and I was like, people don't even know this, where that came from.
Yeah.
So I just happened to buy this little toy action figure. I mean, he was like 2 inches tall.
Yeah.
And my idea was like, I'm gonna be funny and take this little Grandpa Batman around and do shit. Yeah. So that was the name that I came up with, and it stuck, and it went.
No, you have to tell Sean how many people tag you in pictures of their grandparents.
Oh shit! Every day.
Yo, that's some funny shit.
I get tagged in everyone's grandpa pic.
That's the price of fame, Grant.
Yeah, man. Price of fame, man. When you're a geriatric Batman, as popular as you are.
Yeah. So I get people like this week. Guy sends me these nice photo prints of him dressed up in this badass Dark Knight Returns cosplay with Carrie Kelly.
How did he get your address?
I gave it to him. He was like, "Hey, yeah." No, I gave it to him.
It's on the internet. It's posted on the internet.
It's like, "Hey, can I send you pictures of my grandpa?" And you're like, "Hell yeah."
Yeah.
Look, never asked.
I know. I've been waiting all day for someone to ask me that.
Let me just add it to my scrapbook.
I've been putting his information on the walls at the con and the bathrooms. For a good time, call Grandpa that.
My wife thinks it's the craziest thing. But like, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh shit!
Oh, yeah.
That's dope.
That's awesome.
Wow, that is really cool.
Wait, is that a photo or painted over
it's
photo?
A cosplayer.
Looks like a
cosplayer.
Does he have nipples, or is that just the shape of the bat on his symbol on his chest?
The pinpoints of the wings perfectly placed over his nipples.
Exactly. We'll never be able to unsee that now.
That is a perfect coiffed hair for Carrie Kelly too.
Yeah, so that's another thing I really like about your book is that, I mean, it's not like a young Batman. He's kind of a grizzled veteran guy.
Yeah.
Hey,
Azrael is too. That was my one worry, was if I made Azrael too old, would Azrael fans turn on me?
Oh, we'll get into that.
Cramps, you and your genius segue. We are back. Curse of the White Knight #1 at this point in listening has hit the shelves, and we are with the mastermind himself, Sean Murphy, to talk about issue 1. And going right into it, man, it was like pump the IV, man. It was good to get back to that good old Sean Murphy art, because
thanks, man.
Man, sometimes you could just stare at it. The way the story opens with Lord Wayne, I had these flashbacks right to the Cavalier story. I think they did back in Legends of the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Like the whole what were the words? So the Musketeer-esque looking character and whatnot, swashbuckling, and it just really set the tone for that time period. And you said we're gonna go back in time with this one for a while, and holy shit, man! I don't think anyone's ever pushed Arkham back to 1685.
Yeah, I was surprised because I thought, like, what would? I always wanted to do a story about like the founding of New York City, which would be, Gotham in this case. And I'm like, all right. So I looked at New York and what happened. It was like a pirate city for centuries.
Yeah.
Pirate friendly. Yeah, exactly. And, after the English took over it, there was like generals who were making money and, black market. And, they turned a blind eye to criminals. And, in Boston, they wouldn't get away with that shit. But in New York, they could. And I thought it just fit perfectly with Gotham, obviously. So I thought, what would Arkham Asylum be? Like, if it's really ancient, it probably was a fort. Maybe it was like a house before that. And I came up with the idea of what if there was this like Joker Dracula character, and it was sort of like a Castlevania style flashback in a way. Not too much fantasy, because I do want to keep things kind of grounded, but enough of like maybe he was a vampire, maybe he wasn't, whatever. And then I went with the name Lafayette, because you could just shorten it to Laffy, and then there's this like weird connection to the Joker all of a sudden. So I didn't know like who had really gone that far back with Arkham, but there might be some stuff that I'm totally forgetting about. If you guys know, like, please educate me.
Well, don't worry. 1685, man. I don't even think Scott went that far back with Gates of Gotham, man. This might be the beginning that I can remember.
Yeah, I agree. Fuck you, Scott. Yeah, it probably is. He's outside your door in the San Diego hallway right now.
Oh, God. Scott is the reason why we get to talk to dudes like you, because he pretty much helped put us on the map with DC Publishing by getting us like review copies and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So we love Scott, but Scott.
I like the premise
as I said last time, I stopped telling Scott my ideas because every time I came up with something, he was about to do it or had already done it or whatever.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, I don't know if this is too spoiler, but I like the premise that Laffy has been rumored to be a vampire, which kind of gives him the eternal life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was sort of a theme because I drew Batman with this big collar, and it gave him like a vampire type of look. And it's just some sort of like theme I've been playing with, and I wasn't really sure where I was going with it, but I wanted it to suggest like people are feeding off of Gotham in some way. Not to say, Batman is a vampire, but, in a way he has a lot of connection with that stuff. And now we have it again with Laffy, and again, it kind of fits into the sort of Castlevania style flashback I wanted to do. Oddly enough, I actually pitched just the flashback years ago to DC, and I called it Castlevania as like a placeholder title. Like, I wasn't going to call it that. And I was going to have a Batman type character have to fight his way through all these bosses. Like, instead of he would go through the Universal monsters. So instead of having Frankenstein, instead of fighting Bane, he'd fight Frankenstein. Instead of fighting Croc, he would fight the creature from the Black Lagoon. Instead of Catwoman, he would fight a witch who turned into a cat. Like, you would have like proxies for all of his the villain gallery. And DC thought it was cool but goofy. And I, after White Knight became such a hit, I didn't want to, do my next Batman with like a goofy, Universal monster type thing. So I toned that stuff down. I salvaged the Castlevania vibe of it, and that's kind of where it started.
It's a good thing that you turned away from that idea, because I was talking to Scott Snyder earlier today, and he's writing that right now.
Of course he is. Yeah, fucking of course he is.
Actually, Mike Mignola, the Doom that came to Gotham, he did something really similar with that as well, where each rogue was kind of transmitted into like a classic monster or whatnot. But I really like that idea. I don't think it's goofy at all. I mean, the way you would have drew it, fuck, man. Damn, I wish maybe a backup
Dan
story
DiDio,
or something.
why didn't you take it at that time?
Where's Dan? Get Dan on line 3.
Hey, this guys coming, they give me pitches, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. What are you going to do? You can't put them all on paper. You just got to give it each at a time.
Hey, Todd, would you like to make action figures of this stuff?
I mean, of course. Love to make figures of them, but all these kids, they buy them and they bitch about them. It's not articulated. You can't move his head. What the fuck do you want? I don't know what you guys want.
Is it the same guy doing both voices? I can't tell.
Yeah, it's Tom.
That's some good improv, man. Good job.
Yeah, try. It's hours of just studying, really, to be honest.
And he does have an actual important grown-up job that he's supposed to be doing with his time.
Yeah. Therapy doesn't give you a lot of time to play around.
Thinking of people in industry who would be easy to do impressions of. I think Jimmy Palmiotti would be easy.
I gotta listen to some of their interviews, but I was thinking about what's his name? You mentioned him earlier.
Rob Liefeld.
Oh, Rob. Just Rob here, hanging out, just doing my sketches, and here we got Deadpool right here. I created him. Course, just take my daughter had a sketchbook and decided to just take it over. Just do some Deadpool in there. Got some Deadpool here. I created him. I'm not sure if you guys knew that, but 2 movies came out, probably the best movies ever of any comic book hero of all time. Better than The Dark Knight, better than Endgame. Fortunately, we only wanted to do 2. It's not because Fox took over, or Disney. We just thought that after 2 that we're good. So.
Hey Rob, what do you think of DC Comics right now, Rob?
Absolutely horrible. It's a sinking ship. It's a sinking ship.
Video of him driving a pickup truck while inking a page behind the wheel.
I think that's so fake. I think he was just trolling.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I'm actually at a baseball field right now with my kids watching their game, just drawing Major X right now.
I invented baseball. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Making a movie of it. We just had a couple of meetings. Angels in the outfield. What's the other one where the ghosts are in the stupid movies? Wait till this one comes out.
What is happening?
I love it. This is why I came back, guys. I mean, we can talk about my book if we want, or we can just keep doing impressions.
I was actually talking to Scott. It's funny you mentioned Scott Snyder. I was talking to him earlier. I wasn't talking to him. I rented a ballroom next door to where he was, listening through the door. But I was listening to what Scott was saying, and all the things he's talked about. I've already made those characters, and I've already signed off on movies for him. So.
We need a Scott impression. What kind of voice would that be?
Oh my God. I think it's just kind of like, hey, what's going on?
No, you know what? Don't do that. I don't
hey, what's going on? I remember you.
Edit that part out.
No, keep it. Next time we do this,
you mean a very polite and generous and loving voice. Scott Snyder keeps the lights on over here.
I'll leave it up to you guys. I trust your judgment on that one.
Greg did an impression of Scott yesterday, and it was exactly that same thing.
You know what? When you think about it, though, Tom King still has to walk around with a fucking bodyguard, so a little impression ain't gonna be that big.
Yeah. So funny, it'd be great if his bodyguard grabbed him. He's like, "I hear you do an impression of my client. Let's hear it, asshole." Your impression would be you just pissing yourself.
That guy's cool as shit.
Yeah,
it's funny.
He's cool.
He's got his head on a swivel, dude. He's sensitive because like we walked up to Tom and he fucking put his arm out quick, like so quick, and we're like, whoa, it's cool. Like we know Tom, and then Tom's like, yo, no, I know these guys, but he was on point, man.
The funny thing to me is like all these guys, all the creators are, they're writers and artists or whatever, but the CIA guy is the guy that needs fucking protection.
Got him.
That sounded like Bob, the guy who invented Batman. What's his name?
Kane?
Yeah, it sounded like something from that Bill Finger and Batman documentary.
God, Bob Kane. And yeah, I gotta fucking work on my Bob Kane.
Yeah.
Who's Bill Finger? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a heartbreaking documentary. Not to get on a tangent.
Oh yeah, I if there's one thing I tell anybody who ever wants to get into Batman in any way, shape, or form, I always say, just watch that documentary first, please. Just know where it all came from, how it all started, and one of the biggest tragedies, probably the most lucrative individual fictional character in history.
Right.
And the guy got screwed over. It's just it feels like fiction. It's so crazy. Yeah. Shout out to Athena Finger over at San Diego Comic-Con right now, though. Our lovely friend Athena Finger, granddaughter of the great Bill Finger. She's having a great time. She's going to more cons now. She's in the circuit, and it's just so great to have her around because I feel like if Bill couldn't get recognition, at least his granddaughter could get a lot of love, and it's just great to have her around as well.
She was definitely like the hero at the end of that. It's good to see someone in that family finally, go through the gauntlet of fixing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't know why Bill didn't just confront Bob, because it seems like they talked after Batman 66, after millions of made. Like, why didn't he ever say, "Hey,
Neil
man"?
Adams spoke about that. Kevin Smith asked Neil Adams why he didn't fight as hard for Bill as he did for the Superman guys.
Really?
And
what happened?
So what Neil Adams pretty much said was that it was very difficult to stand up for someone who's not trying to stand up for themselves. He said he was a good guy, but he was just, I don't want to use the word pushover. He's just a guy he's a guy who just wanted to write and didn't want to be bothered. Like it's too difficult and frustrating, for him. He just wanted to write. That's all. And
no, that's the impression I got as well. I mean, as soon as I heard that stuff, like I know 1,000 Bill Fingers still who have the benefit of knowing that story, and they would still get Bill fingered, for the lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But there's so many people in comics are still Bill Finger in a lot of ways, and they'll never, they don't want to rock the boat.
You can't do it. You can't do it. You just got to go out there. When your kids are playing baseball, whatever it might be, just make sure you get the money. Make sure you get that check. Absolutely, just got to put your hand out there. You can't let anything pass you by.
Now, what you just mentioned about like people like recognition writers and whatnot. I was talking about this with Robin in the past. That's like with our platform now, because we have a lot of industry on our eyes. We have the ears for some reason, and we try to showcase a lot of these artists and writers who.
Right.
Might be do such great work and are so under the radar, don't get the recognition, or might miss out on gigs or not play in the game. You know what I mean? So it's good to have a platform to kind of showcase them and then to introduce them to a new like legion of fans, because we're very well aware of that as well. I mean, it still goes on, and it's not easy being a pen or a pencil for hire sometimes in almost any industry.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I
go back and I go back and forth. Like on one hand, I agree, artists get screwed over. It's a hard life, health insurance or tragedy, and then they start Kickstarters for bills. Like I get it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I also think like you knew this going in though. It's sort of like this is the deal as a freelancer. Is if you're not hot, if you're not on it, if you're not planning ahead, you can get kicked out at any time, and like no one owes you anything. That's sort of the rule.
Well, Sean Murphy's your advice was, dude, have your wife read your paperwork.
Hire a lawyer just to look over it, just to say you did due diligence. But again, there's a lot of Bill Fingers still out there.
Yeah. But to a better story, a more success story, Curse of the White Knight #1. I wanted to ask you, I love this Arkham. Now we spoke about that library splash last time, which I love, and she put that on the actual hardcover. Oh,
I was thrilled that
such
she
a
did
good
that.
decision.
I was so thrilled. Someone brought that up to me without the sleeve, and I'm looking at it like, what is this? I thought that someone printed out like a custom copy of that page, and she's like, oh no, that's what you have. It's just without the paper, the dust cover, or whatever. And I'm like, oh fuck, that's great. I was really happy to see that.
So happy she chose that. But you were like, oh, so what's Arkham doing with a library? But like your interiors and whatnot. I was just like, where do you like draw inspiration or reference for your backgrounds and environments? Well, for this one anyway, because you're really opening up Arkham even more now with this first issue of the Curse of the White Knight.
Yeah, I look at like a lot of stone cellars, Civil War forts, wrought iron, brick, that kind of thing. A lot of European castles and stuff. Yeah, I think just finding good photo references and really being interested in history and trying to put those details in there helps. I love drawing Arkham, and I don't think I really think about how to I don't have a layout in my head of it. I just sort of draw each panel the way I feel like it sort of should fit. But there's no like logic to it, like where the hallway is, where the outside is. Like when I draw the outside, it generally looks. I keep in mind what I did before, but the interior of Arkham is like a nightmare, and it's always changing. Like there's not a lot of consistency between each background, because that's just how I imagine. It's like an endless maze of secrets that you just get lost in,
Absolutely. And I always love the old agonizing feel of Arkham, the endless feel, and it's one of the major
there's
it's a character of itself, right? I mean, just like Gotham, it's an important character in this mytho itself. So it
has to be, man. But they're talking about how they're changing Arkham because of the Napier Initiative, and Joker's like, "Why would you want to change this? This is lovely the way it is." And I just imagine that he's totally a fan of Arkham and doesn't need it to be changed,
And he's trying to get out too. And I see we have like maybe a little Uncle Bingo moment as well.
I never thought about that actually. I was going for the pencil thing in Dark Knight, but yeah, you're right. It's more of an Uncle Bingo.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that either.
It's all in the subconscious, man.
Always bringing it back to '89, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's interesting because the '89 Bingo, and then the original Arkham Asylum with Grant Morrison. That's where the pencil trick came from. The pencil trick was in the Dark Knight movie. Don't leave writing instruments around the Joker.
Yeah.
When he was in the library, and I thought, why would they let Joker in the library? There's like books with spines, and there's got to be objects in there. Like, why the fuck would they take that chance?
Yeah.
And they're in reality, there's no way they would. But I needed him to be in a library, so I had them say, well, he's never attacked anyone with anything like that. He's not a cutter, so it's probably fine.
Yeah. Wait till that one angry nerd though on the internet fucking says otherwise.
Oh yeah, I've met that nerd. Yeah, he's awesome. Seriously, don't you know there's so many weapons Joker can make out of these books? It's a hazard everywhere. There's wrought iron fences inside of Arkham. This makes no sense.
He's not Batman.
sound like that kid from Stranger Things. Fucking whatever.
That's my contribution. I can't do Rob Liefeld or Todd, but I can do generic nerd number 4.
No, that was perfect. I actually thought that was Tom doing it. It's really good. That's why I said that.
I gotta bring some voices to the table. I can't just play it myself. I gotta, up my game with you guys.
This is awesome.
I don't know if you guys ever heard Grant Morrison's line about the Batmobile. Like a nerd would say, like, who inflates a Batmobile's tires? Some dumb shit like that. And Morrison said, the tires don't get inflated. It's a fucking comic book. Why would you bother? It's a comic.
Yeah. The tires don't get. It's a comic book. The tires don't get inflated. Why would you ask?
Well, it's when I guess the point he's trying to make is like if you try to think of it and make it too real, then it's no longer
Exactly. You're gonna destroy it.
You're gonna ruin it. You're gonna
Yeah. Mark Hamill tells a story about how he was on the set of Star Wars, and it's like perfect for comics too. And it was the scene they were filming when they were in the trash compactor, and so they're in the trash compactor, and the scene they're filming is afterwards, and so but they're out and they're all dry. So Mark Hamill's like looking at the script, and he's like, hey, this takes place after the trash compactor. Shouldn't our hair be wet and shouldn't we be all gross and dirty? And then like Harrison Ford looks over at him and goes, kid, it's not that kind of movie.
He's like, oh man, I don't think we've ever seen Harrison Ford excited about anything. Maybe afraid of snakes.
Snakes. Why?
I had a friend who's a big Blade Runner fan, and he was working on set with Harrison Ford. And I don't know what movie it was, but at the end, as a gift to the set, the crew, whatever, Harrison's like, bring in a photo, line up tomorrow, I'll sign whatever. So everyone's bringing in Star Wars, Indiana Jones. And my friend is the only one that brought in Blade Runner. And Harrison Ford looks at the photo, he's like, I don't get why people like this fucking movie. And he signs it with a black Sharpie in the darkest part of the photo, so you can't even see it.
Oh. Heartbreak.
I'm like stunned that he did a sequel. Like, what happened to the... Yeah, I don't know what changed his mind.
Hey kid, I got bills too. We all got bills to pay.
Hey kid, let's go flying.
Antics tonight.
How many famous people can we offend in one podcast? Dan, Todd, Rob, Scott.
We have our
bodyguard.
I gotta work on my Capullo. I gotta work on it.
One of our staples is Jason Statham likes to stop by.
Every once in a while, love. Every now and then. Go see what's his new movie?
Hobbs and Shaw.
Go see Hobbs and Shaw. Fast and the Furious, Hobbs and Shaw. I like that pencil trick. I'll try it myself.
It's like kicking a bottle cap off a bottle, right?
We're waiting for your video of that one.
I was
He's just gonna drive over it.
I was gonna do
the new car to do it.
Yeah.
I was gonna do it with an open bottle of ink and get it on myself, but then it started taking off like crazy, and I just like, I don't know. Now it's too cool. I don't want to do it.
That's last week's bad.
Yeah.
Now you got to storm Area 51.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, but don't forget to do the old person face app first before you go to Area 51.
Old person face storming Area 51.
What the fuck is wrong with this world?
What's the Naruto run? What is that aspect of it? Anime character or something people are talking about with the Area 51?
Oh yeah, the Naruto run.
Thank you.
I saw that. Where the people who are going to storm Area 51 are going to do the Naruto run. So they showed a picture of the guards like training to make sure they know how to stop it. The world's just one giant meme at this point.
What is going on? Yeah.
This is why we delve into comics, man, because this reality is so much more fucking weird at this point in time.
It's nice to be in Gotham where things are grounded. Finally, a city that makes sense.
So back to the book then where we were. So we've got Joker making that escape, and it's part of this. So we have this interesting backstory you've set up where what is turning out to be the three major characters of the book are having their histories of the centuries through Gotham shown in both aspects.
Yeah. Bruce has a relative named Edmund, the first Wayne in Gotham. Joker feels this connection to Laffy, who is sort of like the first Joker in Gotham. And then you have another guy named Bakar, who is a a relative of Azrael, or John Paul Valley, who was there, in the beginning, because Azrael's very religious. So in the next issue, he has this monologue with Batman. Like, in the beginning, there were two sons in Gotham, like Cain and Abel or whatever. So I tried to make it as biblical as I could with that character. But yeah, you sort of start off with these three characters fighting in 1685, and you have their proxies and now with Batman, Azrael, and Joker. It's going to be interesting to sort of play with the pieces and see how it all connects. You know what I mean?
Another thing that was interesting. Okay, you set it up in White Knight with the death of Alfred Pennyworth and the mysterious box that people kept asking, especially on Twitter and stuff. What's in the box? What's in the box? And are you going to show us what's in it? And in this one, you actually get to that. But what I found interesting was that Alfred knew about all this history all along.
Right. Yeah, he sort of put a little bit of it together. You find out that there's another person in Gotham who is aware of this long history, and he's sort of like the collector type person. He knows John Paul, and he is aware of this curse, and he sort of doesn't want it to be opened up because it's going to be chaotic. So he doesn't want this coming out, basically. And he actually reaches out to Alfred. So you get this flashback in issue 3 or 4 where Alfred gets this letter that gives him clues to what the hell is going on here. And he doesn't want to bother Bruce with it because Bruce has just started becoming Batman, and he doesn't need it. And in Alfred's style, he grabs like a sword and goes to try to take care of the problem himself to protect Bruce. And he gets more clues on what the heck is going on. And in the end, like, Alfred isn't quite able to figure it out before he died, but that's where he gives it all to Bruce, as Bruce can hopefully fit the pieces together as the detective, So I really wanted to do like a classic detective type thing. Like, not so much into superheroes, but I really wanted Batman to be a detective again. So you have like a journal, you have a whip made out of bats, you've got this crazy story, you've got this chest, like, all the tropes are kind of there for him to play with,
So that's actually my favorite part of the book, the letter that Alfred left. Right?
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, but Bruce is like, he's really alone at this point. Nightwing and Batgirl are in GTO, and Alfred, in the letter, Alfred says there's no strength in being alone. But he's given up his identity as well, and then he has a conversation with Nightwing, going public or whatever. Like, he's really like stripping down.
Yeah, Bruce is sort of in a phase of transition. He doesn't regret being Batman. He goes off the rails. He knows that you can't have law and order where you have vigilantism. He gets it, and he's pissed that it took the Joker to like rub it in his face just to teach him a lesson. But he wants to fix it, but he's got people around him that don't want him. Like, Gordon's like, don't tell everyone who you are. It just makes everything worse. Like, trust me, just keep being Batman. We'll figure it out. Other characters are for it, other are against it. So one thing I did want to do with Batman in this one was I didn't want him to be such a dick the whole time. In Volume 1, one of the criticism I got was Batman seems really unhinged, and this isn't really my Batman. And I accept that, but my thing was, Alfred is sort of not doing well, so maybe Bruce is sort of, up against the wall here, and he is acting a little bit out, So I thought, well, okay, for Volume 2, I think he should learn from his lessons. He's a little bit kinder and more, how we envision Batman. I mean, he's still a little unhinged, but he's making genuine efforts to try to fix things a little bit. And while he's doing that, here comes Joker with another big fucking surprise that blows up in his face, basically, Do you guys think that Bruce was too mean or too curt in the first one? Like, do you think
No. Well, I thought it, like you said, he's dealing with a lot. And the worst thing he was dealing with was the fact that, Alfred was dying. I liked the letter that you wrote because I really think that you get and understand Alfred because, Batman's always been Gotham's protector.
Right.
But Alfred's always been Batman's protector.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I really felt like, you tapped into the fatherhood side of Alfred. So, yeah, if your father's dying and shit is going down, you're going to be a little unhinged.
Yeah, I think that too.
I mean, just to be Batman, like, you're a human, like, you have to be on point 24/7, 365 at all times.
Yeah.
And at the same time that he's dealing with who is his surrogate father being on death's door, he has Joker is pulling this ridiculous shit that he's pulling, but what's worse is that's working. Yeah. And things are getting worse and worse.
And he's making mistakes, like when didn't he like shove a bunch of those pills down the Joker's throat? I thought that was fucking perfect. It was just right, he's just losing it. It's so hard to maintain when you're under that much pressure.
And he's beating the fuck out of him, like
you
over
can feel
that
those
table.
punches.
Yeah, I know there's a version of Batman who's always a step ahead of everyone. He brings the kryptonite before he fights Superman. Like, he's always outthinking everyone. But I kind of like it when he screws up, and he luckily doesn't get killed, but he makes mistakes.
He
doesn't quite admit his own faults. Like, I think he can still be Batman and not be perfect, obviously.
Those little glimpses of his humanizing moments are really impactful when they're done right.
And it's not entirely just that he was fucking up, but in White Knight, he was being set up. Right. As we saw from the moment that he's dumping those pills down Joker's throat, just that tiny glimpse that Harley is recording.
Right. Yeah.
And then, we talked last time about the spoiler that you hid in plain sight on the front cover of issue.
Yeah. And someone found it.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. That was like, please don't post that. I'm sorry. I should never.
There's always gonna be one fucking nerd out there, man. That's just gonna.
I think that's one of the things that people often get wrong. Like just because Batman prepares and this and that doesn't mean he's infallible.
Yeah.
Like, sure, he throws all the prep work in, but the best laid plans go to shit.
Yeah, because
sometimes you put the shirt on backwards, just like any one of us.
I know. I'm not gonna lie, because of how someone found the whole spoiler for White Knight. I'm not gonna lie. I scrutinized just about every panel looking for this.
Gramps is one of them old timers.
Yeah, I saw these little words that say Harley did it again.
Oh man, yeah.
I do want to point out a little awesome attention to the detail that you applied to this visually is how organic you do make this feel. All right, so like when I love the fact that Dick and Babs are working in Gotham City Police Department, and they're saying shit here and there and all. And I'm like, finally, it feels so organic. It feels like a real story. There's not really any exposition, anything like that. It's just, it flows well. Just like we're in the Batcave, and he has like a bunch of cables hooked up to the Batmobile and one to the motorcycle, whatever. Instead of everything being polished and perfect, I'm like, that organic flow, it just makes so well for visual storytelling. So I wanted to say that
Thanks,
I really
man.
enjoyed that as well.
I didn't. It's going back to dialogue. Like I don't believe in narration balloons, like square boxes where you have like you're looking at the inner monologue of Spider-Man or whatever. Like I don't like that stuff.
Thank you.
I think it's just from a screenplay background. Usually you try to stay away from that stuff. You have exceptions like Shawshank Redemption or like Forrest Gump. But I feel like you're telling versus showing. And I think comics always to just accept that you're always going to have boxes filled with inner monologues. And I just don't know why we need those if you can have characters voice those things or you can draw those details. Like, do we really need to have... And my thinking is I think a lot of writers feel like they're not contributing unless there are words on every page. So they're just not likely to write silent pages for artists to just do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And I think because I'm like drawing it as well, I know I'm fine not writing monologues or inner monologues, whatever, because I know I can just take care of it with the art. So most of the story is moved forward just with dialogue. I mean, I do have voiceovers when a character is talking about something and there's a flashback. But other than that, like I don't even like labeling something like last night, ... Like I try to avoid that if I can. And I immediately break that rule in both of these books where I have like 1 year ago,
Yeah.
But that's important because, you're talking about two different stories and two different timelines.
Yeah.
I think you have to be really good at it as well to be able to make that effective. Like, I think the way Frank did it in Dark Knight Returns was like a good example of like using it well. But it is one of those things where if you don't know how to use it in a certain way at a certain time, it's going to feel a little redundant and whatnot. But,
like I get why it happens. Like I'm writing a Mr. Freeze one shot for Klaus Janson right now. I don't know if it's officially been announced, but whatever. Here's the announcement. It's called Von Freeze. It's a flashback to World War II, and it's sort of like a Romeo and Juliet story of Freeze and Nora set against Nazi Germany. And as we established in Volume 1, Nora is a Jew, he's German, and Freeze is not a Nazi, but his dad joins the SS. And it's like a complicated story about his father and Nora's father and the Freeze tech and like where it comes from. And it's sort of like leftover from stuff I didn't get to do in Volume 1. So I wanted to do like a spinoff, and I'm like, Klaus can draw it. He's got a lot of German guilt. He'll draw the hell out of that story. Writing for another artist, like I can see why writers want to have those boxes of inner monologues, because you just don't know if the artist is going to do everything. So you want to cover your bases and make sure it's crystal clear to the reader what's going on. So if you know you're going to draw it, you know you can take care of that stuff, and you're less likely to do that. But like I'm not like faulting writers that fall into that trope. It's just too bad we don't have more single vision type books, because I just don't think we need a lot of those captions, you know.
So this is actually going to be kind of a spinoff of.
Yeah, one shot. So we're going to release. Think of this as like a 9-issue series with a break in the middle where I'm going to stop and we're going to put out one shot of Von Freeze. Okay. Drawn by Klaus Janson, written by me, colored by Matt Hollingsworth. So it fits in the universe. It's sort of like a deleted scene if this was a movie, if that makes sense. Okay. You don't need to read it to enjoy Curse, but Curse will come out 9 months in a row with one break in the middle. But if you want to skip that and just read my 8 issues, that's fine too. Like you don't need to read this Freeze story, but it was something that I really wanted to check off that I didn't get to do in Volume 1.
Now, this might be getting a little too far ahead, but I know you were also speaking with our friend Brian Hill about doing something as well.
Yeah, I wanted to do an African American Robin.
Oh yeah.
I'm not the one to do it. I know that, but I don't know Brian. I mean, I talked to him on DM, and I feel like he and I are very much similar in how we approach politics and Twitter and trying to sort of. We're both liberal, but we were trying to sort of reach to the center, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I really, really, really wanted Robin to be black, and they turned him into the Signal, which is cool. But I feel like maybe with White Knight, if I can push that and get Brian to write it and sort of make Duke sort of a centrist character. Like he's not a guy that always sides with BLM. He's not always a guy that sides with the other side. He's just trying to be practical and realistic and sort of walk the center line, if that makes sense. And they're never going to approve this, but I'm going to tell Brian to pitch it White Knight, Black Robin. See if they go. Yeah, hashtag. They're never going to go for that.
Yeah, well, you were the first one to draw him in the New 52 Detective 27 big book. Yeah, I remember that. That looked really cool.
They wanted it was a future story. See different versions of Batman in the future, and I kept drawing Robin as this, Robin as that, and I'm like, can't there be? Let's just do a Black Robin. So I did, and I didn't really ask permission. I just sort of did it, and it kind of when DC got hounded with phone calls all of a sudden, so they weren't thrilled. But I sort of just wanted to shove it into the zeitgeist and see what happens. You know what I mean? Sort of just do it and apologize later.
Well, then you also had Lee went with the We Are Robin story arc as well. He's like, let's just get a shitload of them out there and see which one sticks.
Perfect. And whatnot. Exactly. No, brilliant. No, I'm 100% supportive of that movie. That was awesome.
So is Duke Thomas gonna appear in Curse of the White Knight?
Yeah, he's a big character. He is sort of like steady hand of the GTO. As like Nightwing is sort of more temperamental. Gordon is busy. He's going to start spoilers. He's going to maybe run for mayor. So he's going to have to promote somebody into his position as commissioner. It's not going to be Duke. But I think Duke is sort of like the heart and soul of the team in a way, and he's sort of like the perfect backup guy. Yeah. And the way I want Duke to be Robin is when he was Special Forces, his code name was Robin because he was like the best backup guy in the military or whatever. And ironically, here he is now working with Batman, so he decides to revive the name Robin. I'm not sure if he's going to keep his gun or not. I haven't really thought about it that much. I don't want it to turn into like a Red Hood type thing. So we'll see. I haven't really fleshed it out yet, but that's why I want to talk to Brian about it.
So Duke is ex-military and Jean Paul Valley is ex-military, correct?
Yeah. That's where. So they're able to sort of track down Valley because Duke has some connections.
Valley lost his mind in the started, I guess, hallucinating in the hospital, right?
Yeah, we have a first time we see Valley. He's butt naked.
Oh, first appearance.
First appearance of ass.
Go ahead.
Page 17, where he's hallucinating. My idea was he's naked because he's having he's got PTSD. And he walks into the chapel of the hospital, and there's candles everywhere. So he knocks everything over by accident. And my idea was he's sort of reborn in fire, so I wanted to have him naked. And without thinking, I drew his penis in a few panels.
Oh!
And all of that got edited out, of course.
Well, I like that he's like an older Jean Paul.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys about that. I've been, anytime I meet an Azrael fan, I'm always like, listen, spoilers. Like, I wanted to make Azrael like Vietnam era. Like, he's 60 now, but he's still an ass kicker. Like, he's John Rambo from First Blood, but he can still handle himself, but he is a little bit older. And I was just wondering if like Azrael fans would be okay with that. Like, he still wears red, he's still angry, he's still religious, he still has a sword, but I'm just wondering if it's cool that he's not wearing glasses or whatever he used to.
I dig it.
I don't see the problem. I dig it.
I think that old look was very 90s, you know, the blonde hair glasses.
Yeah.
What about the man bun?
Oh yeah. That's coming. Wait, you mean his penis, or when he's falling into the candles, and I drew like a silhouetted wiener between his legs and a few other. Like, I think I just you get so in your zone when you're working, you don't think about that stuff. And DC colored it, and I thought I had shadowed it enough where it wasn't full on Lee Bermejo dick. Yeah. Right. It was more subtle, kind of cartoony dick in the background,
like Dr. Manhattan dick.
Cartoony dick.
Just a little dick neck, not like the full shaft.
Hey, Rob Liefeld, did you invent the dick?
Yeah, the comics. As far as comics, yeah, I invented the penis in the comic. Making a movie about it right now. As a matter of fact, just sketching, swimming in the pool. So,
if you can't draw feet, you probably can't draw a dick. So,
so we got a little bit of who's returning from Volume 1. One of the things that the masses loved most about Volume 1 was how you fixed the current era Harley by dividing the original Harley and Neo Joker. What can you talk about who we'll see and who we won't see?
Neo Joker is not in this, but she's off camera in a scene or two because the Mad Hatter breaks her out of jail. But we don't really see her. And the reason was I had so many characters to focus on. I couldn't sort of give a compelling reason to put her in and focus on her with all these other things going on. But my goal is to put her into Volume 3 as the main antagonist. So she'll be a little bit older and she'll have a new motivation. But I have tons of Harley Quinn in this. Like, Harley Quinn eventually she's helping Batman like every step of the way because he doesn't really have any family left with him. Like, Alfred's gone, and of course he still has like his friends in the GTO. But as far as who's with him day to day, it ends up being Harley Quinn, and she ends up sort of being his conscience in a lot of ways. So I think one of the best reactions I got from Volume 1 is everybody loved the scenes with Harley and Batman on her rooftop having heart-to-hearts, which like stunned me because I thought that was going to be like people's least favorite parts. But for some reason they loved it. So I feel like if you liked that stuff, you're going to get a lot more of it, and Harley and Batman's sort of complicated friendship. If that makes sense.
I like that. Most I think a lot of writers or people would feel compelled to squeeze in their Neo Joker in the story regardless, and I think it's a good disciplined move, a smart move to like hold her aside for the next one. That's really
thanks, man.
Because I see it so many times where there are a lot of writers that just feel compelled to squeeze this person or that person, and then ultimately it's like, well, they didn't really have a purpose in it, but they're in there. Wow, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Man. Good.
Honestly, with Volume 1, like, I squeezed in Mr. Freeze, and I sort of found a reason why it had to be him, because there was a freeze gun, and Neo. There needed to be like a drastic threat that forces Batman and Joker to work together. So it kind of makes sense, but I still feel like the plot would have worked in different ways if you didn't need Freeze. Like, I'm glad I added him, but I definitely shoved him in there because I didn't think I'd ever get to write Batman again. And when I reread it, the Freeze stuff is fine, but I kind of wish I had not done it because it's already a very crowded book anyway. You know what I mean?
I think it flows though. I mean, I enjoyed it.
I was thankful you did it.
Yeah, and we got a good cover out of it too. He's on a major cover.
Yeah.
Legends got an original page out of it.
Fuck yeah.
With the Von Fries I'm doing with Klaus, hopefully it sort of bolsters that a bit more and makes it make more sense. Like, 10 years from now, if people read volume 1, 2, and 3 and then Von Fries, hopefully it's like it all kind of congeals a bit.
Man, I can't wait for that Sean Murphy Batman Omnibus, man. It's going to look really nice on the shelf, boy.
Me too.
What kind of voice would you give Victor Fries's dad? Like, what kind of... it's like based on the backdrop of like the Nazi stuff, right?
Yeah, I think pick like a arch Nazi from Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade. Who is that guy?
So not like the fat caterpillar from A Bug's Life?
Victor, come and have your supper. Please, it's time to eat now, okay? Mommy says it's time to eat, yeah.
I guess
Bob Liefeld invented that caterpillar.
Yeah, it's actually Bug's Life was based off a short story.
Hey, Rob, I want you to do a commission of that caterpillar, but I want you to only draw his feet.
Fantastic. $6,000 if you can. Venmo direct, thanks. I'll have it to you never.
Oh yeah, man, he like over mad people with that the Kickstarter, right?
Allegedly.
You guys back any Kickstarters?
Yeah. I got a buddy of ours. My God, he's doing like his own like artist version of it. It's like what is it, Gramps, that he's doing? Big Mike. It's like he's doing his own book. Yeah, he's doing his own art book with like a lot of original pieces in it. But then he's also doing like Star Wars prints and Batman prints. So
yeah, this is a guy that, as an artist, he's responsible and helped design. Well, he helped design like a lot of the first waves of the Mezco action figures.
Yeah, he pretty much like built a good chunk of the Mezco company. Like he was.
And then he did like a lot of like there's this statue that came with the Injustice game with Wonder Woman and Batman. He did that one. He did some other Arkham game design stuff. I mean, he's had his hand in some pretty cool projects. So.
And what happened was he was doing then he did a couple of Star Wars enamel pins, and then Star Wars approached him and did a cease and desist, and then they offered him a job. They wanted him. So,
that was cool.
Yeah, and he's like a massive Star Wars fan. So shout out to Mezco Mike from over here, Queens, New York, baby. He's a good dude. I think that book's gonna hit this year.
No, he's busy. He does a lot of. He started doing freelance a couple years ago, so we just try to support him.
Yeah,
as much as we can.
Yeah.
Who's taking pictures of me? What?
Sorry, no, I'm trying to figure out.
Oh, you are.
That's funny because Gramps actually did that to Joey Lawrence. Yeah, we did that to Joey Lawrence, the guy from Blossom when he was on the show.
Oh, wow.
Why did we have Joey Lawrence on?
Joey Lawrence is. It's like, I think somebody just took a picture of me. Oh,
whoa!
Joey Lawrence.
I know that it showed the whole screen.
Joey Lawrence.
I'm trying to attach pictures of issue 2, and I don't know how to. Oh well, I'll just keep taking pictures of you if that's cool.
Take pictures, man.
I'm gonna send them to my grandpa. Is that all right?
That's the way to get to him.
If you could like draw me in the book some way.
DM it to the Twitter account, and then we all have access to the Twitter account.
Okay.
Cool.
Bad Force Twitter.
Or it's just either that or the Instagram DM. Either way, we can.
Oh yeah.
So with Libramejo's first issue of Damned, he ended it with a Joker imagery in a church that was quite striking. But I think Sean Murphy said, "Hold my beer," and did the same thing with this one. Because the Joker image at the end, I just noticed this for the first time now with the wings in the background from the stained glass, and then him handing Azrael that sword. I'm guessing he really handed him the sword, but he's hallucinating the flames. I don't know. This is very ambiguous, but pretty fucking awesome, man. The way to end this first issue with that flaming sword.
Yeah, I wanted Joker to sort of. I mean, I see Azrael as a very like Shakespearean, biblical, over the top type of character. Yeah. If you want to move him, you have to sort of use some theater. And I think Joker would know that about him. Because Joker's been preparing this for decades. Like, this is his finale. This is his greatest joke in Gotham type thing. Like, I don't think Joker even thinks he's going to survive this. So when he approaches Azrael, I wanted him to do it in a very theatrical way with, like, it's dark, and he's standing in front of a stained glass window, and he's standing right in front of the angel character. So Azrael is sort of like, oh, are you an angel? And, someone who's got PTSD and who's super religious, they might actually be... I mean, I think Azrael knows who he is, but it's still very moving to him. And once Joker gives him compelling evidence to join him, then Azrael is like full on board basically. But yeah, I thought about having Joker just sort of walk in the chapel, be like, hey, you don't know me, but here's some shit. Yeah, take this. Trust me.
Who's this woman that Joker's meeting with? Because I thought that was Amanda Waller at first, which would really be fucking cool.
Yeah, she's the woman who created the Batman Devastation Fund. I wanted to create a face for white collar criminals, basically. I didn't want to draw a bunch of rich people placing bets on real estate in Gotham. I just wanted to give it one face. So she is sort of like this like untraceable financial advisor, lawyer type, and she's got connections to the Joker. Like she's the one that actually busts him out in a way, like through her connections, whatever. So in Volume 1, Jack Napier says like, what's with the revolving door in Arkham? There's something going on here. This is stupid. Like, how incompetent do you have to be? Blah 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 blah. And it turns out that he was right. And there is a connection between these elites and the criminals getting out and destroying Gotham. And she's sort of the face of it. Yeah, and I definitely, I wanted someone who, I could have used Waller. I don't know why I didn't actually.
Now, Azrael has a very strong, distinct look in his face. Now, since previously on your podcast with Clay, I asked you about who you would cast as characters from White Knight. Yeah, just after you ribbing me about my roots.
He went full Canadian.
Full Canadian, a boot. Who would you cast for Azrael, and did you have someone in mind when you were designing his look and his voice?
Fuck, I should have an answer for that. I wanted like maybe like a Mickey Rourke type of guy.
Oh yeah.
I could see
That's dope.
John and David Harbour playing him. David Harbour is funny, so obviously he doesn't need to be funny. But someone who's massive, who is thick, has a bit of a gut, but still like a linebacker, like could totally kick your ass if you needed to.
Who was the first Hellboy? What was the first Hellboy's name?
Ron Perlman. Yeah, Ron Perlman. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
He's open for doing different comic book stuff that doesn't involve Mike Mignola. Sure. I just sent some stuff to the Twitter.
Oh, cool.
Did I? I think I only sent one. Hold on.
Yeah, I sent one.
All right, I'll just do one at a time. You guys
So
can put it in
Azrael
order.
has this angels and demons tattoo on his arm, shoulder.
Yeah, he was.
And the dog tag, too.
Yeah, he's sort of like one of his squad in Burma and Afghanistan, all these places he'd been. Like they all have the same tattoo. It's called the Blood Angels, and they each call themselves. Their code name is they each took a different name of an angel in the Bible. So you have Azrael, of course, and then you have his sniper, whose name is Michael, who's the angel, the protector, or whatever. And then you have Gabriel. And Gabriel is actually a lady, like a Vietnamese demolitions expert. And the reason she goes by Gabriel is because over the radio, you would never know to look for a woman. So she goes by a man's name, basically. And these are his 3 surviving war buddies who end up helping him out because they sort of owe him a favor, and because they're all really close, and because in a way he has nothing to lose. You find out in issue 1 that Azrael's terminal cancer, and all this, the PTSD on top of it. He really does has nothing to lose, and that's sort of what makes him so dangerous to Batman.
Dude, these panels that you're showing they're fucking awesome.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I think they're coming to you out of order, but this is when Alfred goes and retrieves some of the stuff. Hold on. Damn you, computers. I hate you. Alfred Sword.
That's like right there is legit. That is so dope looking.
This one. Yeah, here's the last one. Yeah, you can put it in order. But yeah, there's a flashback. So Bruce finds in issue 1, we realize he finds this chest. He's got the journal and he's got these clues, and he finds out that Leslie Tompkins actually knows about this stuff. And he's like, what the fuck? And she's like, how did you know about this? She says, like, who do you think retrieved them? Like, Alfred and I went to get them. And Bruce is like, you and Alfred went and stole them from the Joker? She's like, no. There was this letter that came in, and it was written to you, and this letter you knew you were Batman. So Alfred freaked out. He grabbed a sword, and we went to take care of it. And it's just a sort of quick flashback of Alfred defending Bruce, because, I definitely wanted to have Alfred in there. And I could actually spoil something. It's not too bad. So I love swashbuckling stuff, and I wanted Alfred to be the one that teaches Bruce how to use the sword. And my idea in issue 6 is young Bruce Wayne really wanted to go see the Mask of Zorro because Alfred wouldn't let him play with his swords. So it's Bruce feels responsible for his parents ultimately dying because he was the one that begged them to take them to Zorro because he wanted to learn from Zorro how to use swords. So after his parents die, Alfred realizes like, okay, well, let's go to the funeral, and afterwards, I promise you, I will show you how to defend yourself so that nothing like this ever happens again. And Bruce is like 6 or whatever, and he's like, really? Like, I'll be as good as Zorro? And Alfred's like, absolutely. So I wanted to set up this theme of swordplay, especially because it mirrors Azrael. And of course, the finale at the end will be like an awesome sword fight between Bruce and Jean Paul Valley.
Sean, in these pictures you sent, that's right?
Can we edit that out?
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Good eye.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but take that out for now. Yeah, that is. You'll find out in issue 6.
Dope. Way to go.
Yeah.
Way to look at the art.
At least
you comment on it fairly.
At least you didn't put it on the cover this time, Sean.
Better, guys. Don't worry. I got to draw the Bat motorcycle. I didn't get to do that in the volume 1, so I got to do a new version of the Bat cycle, which I was excited.
I remember you asking about that on Twitter. You put out like a poll of what people like as their favorite type of bike.
Yeah.
I like the.
Yeah, I'm genuinely curious to. Because I love listening to my readers, even if they're pushy sometimes. I do think you get a lot of great information from them. Like
I love how you deal with them, man. It's almost entertaining because it's like you're really like some of them are. It's like they're just trying to be difficult. Like, are you serious? And you just gotta. Yeah.
But the way you've chosen to deal with your fans in general is like it's perfect because like. It's untouchable, the way it's like they're potential customers. So I have to treat them as like customers, and it's fantastic to see, like, especially in the climate that you see on Twitter where, fans these days are taking one side or the other and hating one side or the other, and they're always trying to drag your politics on into the conversation. And it's really awesome to see you kind of setting that example of like, you can be neutral and let everyone enjoy your work.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I tell you, it's not easy. Like, I'm stepping over laser beams, and I have a habit of being honest and trying to make jokes. So, like, sometimes people don't think things are funny on Twitter, obviously. So I've really had to reassess everything. That's why I think I click so well with Brian, because he's sort of the same mindset on this. And like, he and I are both classic liberals. Like, obviously, I did fucking punk rock Jesus. Everyone knows where I stand politically, but like, doesn't mean I can't get along with my conservative friends. I mean, I have friends that love guns. Like, you don't think my neighbor who loves guns wouldn't be thrilled to come over and blow away an intruder if I needed him? Of course he would. There's tons of things we all have in common. Like, it's just so ridiculous on Twitter sometimes. And people forget. If we were all in a big bar talking to each other, like 80% of the shit we fight about would not be a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We'd give the benefit of the doubt. We would like, I don't know if I agree with that, but I'm not going to say it. You would, we're much more patient than we give ourselves credit for, but it's just accessible on Twitter.
It was cool. It was awesome to see you.
The anonymity thing, like, people say things online that they would never say to somebody's face.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was awesome to see you meet up and get drinks with Mags Visaggio too.
Yeah. Mags is a friend. Paul Pope too that week. Also, I chatted with Doug Tenaple, I think he left Comicsgate. I'm not sure what all that stuff's about. I have some friends who don't necessarily agree and get along and all that, and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't fear the conservatives attacking me. I feel like my own team, licking their chops, waiting for me to step on a laser beam. We'll see. I'm doing my best to just try to be cool. Too much, I might just quit Twitter, which I don't want to have to do, but honestly, like, if you want to know what I think, you can read my book. You don't need to hear me spout off the soapbox,
Yeah.
Well, I hope you stick around there because another one of the similarities between you and Brian is when it comes to talking about how creators interact with their readers on Twitter, you and Brian are the two that I cite as being the best at it. In a way, you kill people with kindness, and it comes to the point that they're like, okay, well, I still don't agree with you.
If American Airlines had 90% favorability, that would be amazing. It's okay if 10% of your readers don't like what you do. You're still way above batting average. And honestly, like, I'm not saying anything that we don't all know. I genuinely feel like we're all very reasonable people here, and it looks bad because a lot of extremists hog the microphone on Twitter, but most of us are sitting back rolling our eyes. Like, there's plenty of reasonable people that are just too involved. Just, and like, I'm not saying I'm not worried about, the future of politics or whatever. Like, I definitely want everyone to be treated equal and all that stuff, but I just don't think you're changing anyone's minds by shouting at them online. And that goes for both sides.
Right.
Sorry, not to go on a tangent there.
No, another thing too, like that I was thinking about is, and I don't know if it's because they've given you kind of such a long leash or what it is, but it's you're doing a job and you've been given these characters to work with, and it's a job, but it seems like you're having like a really, really fun time doing it. And you seem to really be enjoying it.
I loved it so much. I just didn't think I had any other choice. Like I was picking up a application to bet when I got picked up by Vertigo in 2008. I finally got like some kind of steady work from Karen Berger with Joe the Barbarian. And it's just like, I can't believe I got this far. How do I keep going? I've been fixing up this house for 2 years in Maine. It's like an old Victorian from 1880. And I have people literally working outside my window, sweating, building rock walls, cutting grass, whatever. And here's me, Mr. Douchebag, in my air-conditioned office, sitting below a brand new Datsun, like, I'm drawing Batman, and I get to make more money than these people. Like, this doesn't seem fair. Like, they're working their asses off, and I'm sitting here drawing a guy in his underwear punching people. Like, I'll never not be acutely unaware of how it's just amazing. And I'm worried that it's all going to fall out from under me at some point, and someone's going to call me on my shit. Be like, you don't actually know how to write, you're just ripping off Chris Nolan or whatever.
Since you went ahead and mentioned Joe the Barbarian, I'm just going to jump out and say I love Joe the Barbarian. And I almost brought every issue to make you sign them in Detroit, but I controlled myself. Why has no one made Joe the Barbarian into a movie yet?
I don't know, man.
That feels so much like a movie that came from the 80s, 90s, and it would be great for everyone.
Yeah, Never-Ending Story meets Toy Story. It seems like a good elevator. What's the impression of Grant Morrison here? One of you guys do an impression of Grant? Oh my God. All right.
We're not.
No one step up. It's okay. No one has to step up. I'm trying to imagine the sometimes unstable Grant Morrison going into business meetings trying to pitch his ideas to suits, asking for $100 million. Like, Grant's a great writer. I don't know if he's that type of guy to be able to spin it and sell it like that. But who knows? Maybe.
Happy went through 2 seasons already.
That's great. Yeah, that show's nuts.
True. Yeah. I mean, Grant bought a house in LA 10 years ago trying to pitch. And as far as I know, Happy is the only thing that's gotten made so far. But I don't know. I don't really talk to him very much. But yeah, that would be awesome. Like, Never-Ending Story, Toy Story together. That's basically what. Yeah, it'd be awesome to see that.
Especially if they could get if they could. I don't know. This would be a lot of hoops to jump through. But if they could get the rights to some of the characters that you put in there, because if for anyone who hasn't read the story, this kid is basically having delusions that he's in the middle of this war that is being fought between the toys in his house. And the characters that are in it are Batman, Grey Ghost, Wonder Woman, Superman. There are G.I. Joe characters, like Snake Eyes is in there, all kinds of stuff.
You're describing a lot of Ready Player One. Yeah. Now that you've said it all out loud. And I feel like because that movie tanked, they're never going to try to do this again.
Actually, you guys are just describing a story that I wrote. A couple characters myself. I need to check on that one.
Feeling about Curse the White Knight issue 1 to me is that I feel like we're picking up right where we left off with White Knight, and that feels so good as well. So when we sandwich them together, we're just gonna flow, man. I mean, like I said, Sean Murphy Octopus, baby.
Thanks, man. I loved Rocky 2, how it's like literally there the sequel. So I kind of wanted to do something like that, where like maybe a few months have passed. I like sequels that just pick up the pace and keep moving.
1 foot out of one story and then into the next one.
Yeah, it's funny. I wanted to end volume 1 with Bruce going into Alfred's room and finding the chest, and he found a whip made out of bat leather. And you really should just end this when Batman comes out to Gordon, because introducing a chest in a whip, like, it's such a different genre. That story's cool, but it's so different than White Knight. I think you should just keep White Knight contained as it is, and if you want to go all Castlevania on the sequel, just do the chest thing later. And I think he's absolutely right. I'm glad he pushed me to do that. You know who invented Skype? Is Rob Liefeld. Thank you, Rob Liefeld.
Makes perfect sense.
As a matter of fact, yes, I did. Joe Wade on the movie rights.
Why does he hate DC so much?
He got passed over.
Oh, that's right. Yes. He pitched. He pitched like a bunch of things during the New 52 and also Rebirth, and he got passed over on all of them. He says he pitched him like 7 different ideas.
Yeah.
He was working on Deathstroke for a little while. I think was it New 52 or?
He did. He was doing covers for a lot of stuff. He was doing Hawkman covers.
It's so funny because like if he's doing Deathstroke, he's working on a character that he pretty much ripped off in the past.
Yeah,
I thought that was
absolutely.
That was pretty funny.
No, if you ask him though, they're completely
putting
different.
him on Deathstroke is brilliant. I would love to see Rob do Deathstroke. Honestly, it's a great move for him. I mean,
Totally
it's dripping
different
because it's dripping with irony, but at the same time, like it's gonna sell books.
Completely different characters. You know, one's an assassin, the other's an assassin. You know, it's just, yeah,
Slade
completely
Wilson,
different.
Wade Wilson.
I just don't understand how anyone could talk that much shit about that many different people and then just block everyone.
He did a blockchain too.
He blocks everyone. I'm blocked. Gramps is blocked. I think. I don't even remember what I said. It wasn't even anything bad. It was maybe constructive or pointing something out, and
I deserve to be blocked, but
you deserve to get blocked.
Did you call him a bitch or something?
I think I did.
Stop bitching, or I don't know what you said.
I'm pretty brutal.
He's blocking people that have the ability to promote his work and help him sell better. Like what is the thinking there, man?
All I'll say is this, and I'm pretty sure everyone can agree that I think in this comic book industry, in this genre, nobody is more unprofessional publicly via social media than Rob Liefeld. He just sounds like a madman, and that's above Skyver. I know you're gonna say Skyver, Tom, but
Skyver's up there, dude.
I mean, these guys are.
Who is it? Who's up there?
Ethan Van
Skyver.
Skyver.
Oh, Van Skyver, yeah. He likes to be a contrarian, and
he
made his brand off of
right
setting people off. He's like a comedian who's trying to raise eyebrows and outrage people.
At least he could draw, though.
I'm not sure everyone thinks that's funny. Teach a class on like dealing with customers and dealing with readers and
comic book
how
etiquette,
to tweet, how to like plan. Yeah, like no one ever taught any of us this stuff. Obviously, like we're all doing the best to figure it out. If a college doesn't have some kind of a class on how to tweet and how to, I mean, like the rule is like I would never tweet anything you're not comfortable being a headline at Bleeding Cool. Like that's sort of Jimmy Palmiotti's rule, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Never tweet something that you don't want to be a Bleeding Cool headline.
Oh yeah.
Scott Snyder.
Oh God, that was bad.
What was
Scott?
Oh, Vertigo.
Years ago when
he accidentally let it out, the Vertigo info before it was made public.
Somebody asked
that was him.
Yeah.
Someone asked about American Vampire, the next volume, if it's going to come out. They said, because there were the rumors that Vertigo was closing, and they said with Vertigo closing, what's going to happen with American Vampire? And he said, it's going to come out on Black Label. We're really excited. And then somebody said, should we take that as confirmation? No, I meant that we hope it's coming out on Vertigo, but if not, it's coming out on Black Label.
I can just imagine that feeling that you get in your chest and your gut, like when, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know, like you fuck up, but he
got juice though, man.
He's got a new kid. You know, he wasn't sleeping much. He's just responding to a question about his work. You know,
it's fine. I mean, that's not who cares? I mean,
if he was the new guy,
it wasn't a big secret anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that?
At the end of the day, I don't know why. I'm surprised that no one found out sooner because people on the inside have known this for months now.
Yeah.
I mean, the writing's been on the wall for a while, but. Yeah, when I finally hit, I was like, I thought this already came out, you know?
Yeah.
But as far as like, it felt to me, and I'm not speaking for DC, of course, but it felt to me like, I could speak for myself. There's a reason I haven't done a sequel to Punk Rock Jesus. It's because if I'm going to do a creator-owned, I might as well do one where I'll own the intellectual property. I might as well go kickstart it and make a ton of money like Ethan or Doug or whoever. I might as well give it to Image after. I might as well this. I might as well that. Like, do I really need to share it with Warner Brothers? They're just set up differently, you know? I don't want to just give away stuff I don't have to give away. And what they were offering, it's just not possible for them to compete with the Image contract for someone like me. If you're younger and not as well known and you need the Vertigo label and the marketing, that's a great deal for a lot of people, I'm sure. But I can't, it's weird because I asked people this question. If you had a title, any book, Vertigo label on it or an Image label on the same exact cover, where would it sell better? And most people would say Image. No one can really figure out why Image became inherently more set than Vertigo in the last 5 years or whatever. Vertigo figured it out themselves, and for whatever the reason, Image was eating their lunch in a lot of ways, and they tried to restart it 4 or 5 times. I don't even know. But I don't think Vertigo is dead. I mean, I don't see why they couldn't just put it on the back burner, give it 5 years, let it cool down, bring it back big with a big sexy reveal. Like, fuck it, why not? It's gone for now. It doesn't mean it won't come back.
Yeah, that's my feeling, is that they closed it so that everyone knows it's gone, it's done with, and then they can have a triumphant return and make it a big thing, and people will be excited for Vertigo again.
Yeah,
you don't know what you got till it's gone, kind of thing.
That's a good business plan. Yeah, absolutely. If they said that was their plan to me, I'd be like, you should do that. Yeah, I don't know why the Vertigo trying to jumpstart it over. I don't know why it's not working, but for whatever reason, it's not. So let's just refocus, and then we can get back to this later.
Well, it sounded like their new structure is, I think, DC Kids, DC, and DC Black Label, which, quite frankly, makes a lot of sense. You chop up your demographic into 3 pieces, I think, and have the DC marketing piece on it. I think that makes a lot of sense. But
yeah, me too, man. I think last time we talked, I was talking about Cradle to Grave, and it starts when kids have Batman nightlights, watching Batman cartoons, and then they're reading young adult Batman, Robin, whatever, and then they're on to the main line, and they're reading Metal, and then they're on to my book, which is taking them 18 plus. That makes total sense. And then when they're 25, they have their own kid, and then the cycle starts again. Makes a lot of sense. It's not anything new. But yeah, they definitely cleaned up their pitch. Like their plan, it makes a lot more sense than it did for whatever reason.
But according to Rob Liefeld, it's a sinking ship. So
get out while you can, Sean.
It all circles back to that.
Yeah,
sinking ship, guys. Sean, you're gonna find yourself John in the parking lot of a 7-Eleven pretty soon. Out there.
How did he start Image single-handedly, in his own words, and then not? He's going to kickstart anything. Why wouldn't he just go straight to Image, which is the company he helped create? I mean,
Mark Silvestri, who Todd, I never heard of him. Jim Lee, don't know the guy.
What was that book where they were all drawing different characters at once that Kirkman was writing? Image United or something?
I think that was.
It was literally Eric Larson, Todd. Each draw their own character into the book, and it was like written by Kirkman. It was like 8 years ago, and then it stalled out. Surprise.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah, it was supposed to have like Spawn, Cyber, all that stuff all in one book written by Kirkman. I don't know what happened to it.
You're waiting on like 7 or 8 people's like schedule to all intertwine.
Yeah, some of us to start working while we're not behind the wheel.
Yeah.
John, I mean, we're so happy that we have another monthly to look forward to from you. We got a super early copy too, like the preview copy to the preview copy.
Yeah, you guys got the PDF, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
we got it.
You got it already.
Last week.
Where's Azrael Dickin?
Azrael hanging around.
I hadn't edited it out yet.
Oh man, I bet Legends would buy that original page, wouldn't he, Tom?
Yeah.
He's like,
Easily.
That's what I was going to ask about the Harley page.
Oh,
the Harley nipple slip page that got published in France.
Did it really?
I still have it. Yeah. So in France, they did a black and white edition, and the black and white files that weren't updated. So they had the word balloons moved to cover Joker and Harley's bits, and there's one Harley that slipped through accidentally. Can't confirm if DC knows or not. I'm sure that they don't want to even talk about it.
It's good. It's a good thing you're not talking about.
It's like why would I do that? That'd be crazy. But yeah, it's like a squiggly line. It's nothing. And just to remind people who are getting triggered by this, like Joker naked in those pages, Harley proposes to him. Like I felt like it was pretty balanced and equally nude.
Hashtag free the nipple.
Yeah. Yeah, if that story if I ever have like medical bills and I need a lot of money, I'll just sell that page.
I was gonna say, yeah.
The Legends is already saving for that one, boy. I know he is.
Well, I asked DC if I could post the art, and I asked someone in marketing, and they seemed fine with it, so I did. So if you Google it, you can find like the colored version that has nudity and no word balloons. And
I saved
again,
that.
I
saved that when you posted on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm gonna blow it up, and put it over my bed.
But I spoke to Lee Bermejo about this too on the show, and I still just think it's so ridiculous. North America's relationship with nudity in this context, it's so immature. Yeah. It's so ridiculous.
You mean boobies?
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like it's gonna be 2020. Yeah. Oh, so Lee mentioned, you could draw a Batman beating the living shit out of someone, breaking his like collarbone.
Yeah.
That's fine. Guns blazing. That's fine. Blood everywhere. That's fine. You show like the silhouette of a penis or a nipple, and everyone loses their fucking minds. And I think I asked you about this last time, but like your view on it, like did we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like you said, Watchmen had nudity. It's a DC book. It's not. I feel like DC's been doing nudity in one way or another in all content for decades, but Warner Brothers forgot or something. And now with the outrage crowd online, everyone just don't get publicity for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I mean that's it right there. The social media.
Yeah. No, they react to mobs a lot now, and not to sales, which is it's tricky because no one wants to lose their job. No one wants to come. So of course you're scared. Of course you want to edit the penis out of there. Of course you want to avoid controversy. Like, most people are reasonable and just like, whatever. It's a boob. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Like if there's a big enough, if there's 1 million moms of America or whatever it's called, tweeting at you on Facebook and demanding, whatever, the CEO step down because of Batman's. I mean, but that's sort of how. My sense is that a lot of businesses are realizing that the vocal minority doesn't speak for everybody, and they're starting to sort of just roll their eyes at some of this stuff. And when you're outraged at everything, it's hard to take you seriously if you're crying wolf all the time. So I feel like there's like a lot of comedians who are stop apologizing. Like it's a joke. Like I was apologizing for a while. Like a lot of people didn't like the Aziz Ansari apologize because they don't think he did anything wrong. And you have to kiss the ring and bow down. And it's just so strange right now, the time we're living in. But I definitely feel a pushback of people that are like, you know what, enough is enough. Like I'm not playing this game anymore with the outrage crowd.
Yeah,
it's a real strange one because now I guess society or movements or whatever it is teaches these people to cry over things via social media to get your way. And there was a study on that, and now something I've never seen in my life, but for the first time I've ever seen it is that Sonic the Hedgehog movie. The trailer came out, and there was uproar about the way he looked, and now the studio is actually going back and changing it.
Yeah,
I've never seen something like that before, to the point where a major motion picture studio has to go back and re-edit a character because of an uproar online. That is just strange to me. And what kind of example, what kind of message does that send, though, as well?
Right.
So
I agree 100%.
I mean, you have that a lot in society, though. Not to get too philosophical, but closed mouths don't get fed. And on the other hand, shut up, stop complaining.
I ain't gonna lie, I bitched my head off.
Kind of can't have it both ways.
I bitched my head off about a Grey Ghost figure to DC Collectibles, and now we're getting it. So
Right. Yeah, no, me too, man. That's one of the. I went out and got it the day that came out. I've been waiting for that figure for 20 years.
I knew you were gonna. I know you want to draw him again in that big splash with all the collectibles.
Oh, I do.
Would they give you permission to use him?
Oh.
Yeah, why not? I mean, they don't.
There's the space race.
People don't really keep track of White Knight, so.
I forgot about the space race between you and Clay Mann to draw Phantasm. Huge thing.
No, he won. I mean, Tom King. I was gonna use Phantasm in a flashback in White Knight, Curse of White Knight, and I wasn't gonna do anything major. It was just like tidbit that harkened back to like that movie, and I wasn't gonna do it in any severe way. It was just basically a Phantasm or whatever. And honestly, it would have been so distracting from the story. But Tom ended up leading into it with, was it Clay Mann he's doing it with?
Yeah,
and that's probably much. Like I was gonna waste it. It's good that Tom's gonna use it and take it seriously and actually do something with it.
And Clay had been working towards that for a long time. Like he went to the extent of he went to the signing and didn't say who he was or anything, and just asked Paul Dini that, to his knowledge, is it okay for DC to use Phantasm in a comic book? And Paul said, why wouldn't?
See, this is where Clay went wrong. He should have just drawn it, and then if they don't like it, they have to pay him to redo it.
McFarlane that shit.
not that type of guy.
Don't ask permission. Just do it and deal with it after.
I love that's how McFarlane used to do it. They used to tell him, no more crazy webs, no more crazy poses, and he was like, all right. He used to go back in and just keep drawing the fucking.
Yeah, man.
Right. Yeah.
I'll do it, but you got to pay me $10,000 to change it, son.
Right. Yeah. No, that's the thing. Like sometimes when I'm talking to people, comics, who are involved with tell me things that I know to listen to, and then they'll tell me things where I'm like, oh, I get it, but I think you're trying to protect your job in a way, and I won't say that to them. But there's definitely some information where I'm like, oh yeah, that's good advice to follow. And other times I hear there's reasons, and I'm like, that doesn't sound that convincing. I'm pretty sure if I just drew it and didn't ask permission, it would be fine. So yeah, definitely Todd McFarlane, that shit.
Yeah, man, I love those old stories. But ultimately, we got what I consider one of the greatest Spider-Mans ever drawn, and you're right, draw now, ask questions later, right? Or yeah, pretty much.
No, man, I mean the best books in DC's history, they did not want to do. They were kicking and screaming. They did not want to do Watchmen, as far as they did not want to do Preacher. They wanted to do it to keep me happy, but they didn't think it was going to sell. I mean, this time around, they're giving me TV commercials and animations and things on CNN that they're really getting behind the book, which is awesome. But on Volume 1, I didn't have any of that stuff because I just wasn't a recognized commodity. But yeah, their job is to produce. This is a car company. Their job is to produce the Honda City. Great car, reliable. It's 60% of their sales. They're not going to do a R&D kind of unusual sports car that Honda does every now and then that might not sell. That's just not how they're wired. You're going to have some people just forcibly make one in the factory and not tell them about it till it's done. They're sort of taught and groomed to create sort of comics as usual and not necessarily Elseworlds type stuff that's out of the box. You sort of have to be a creator to sort of push your way through and force it, like how it did, And I think that's sort of how a lot of DC's greatest hits got made. Is they sort of didn't really want to do it. I mean, now they'll say, "Oh yeah, we always knew that it was going to be huge," but yeah, at the time, really, did you? Okay, because I'm pretty sure that might not be true.
Hey, who's doing those cool little 8-bit video game looking?
Yeah, that's my buddy Chris Facchieri. He's a friend of mine from Brooklyn. He does a lot of webisode type stuff, and he and I are crazy about old Nintendo style graphics, like pixel games or whatever. Yeah. So I talked to DC, and we found room in the budget to advertise. I commissioned my friend Chris to make these. So I flew him up to Maine. He worked with me for a few days. We storyboarded these things, and I wanted to create a what if this was a Nintendo game opening, just as a way to sort of break through the white noise. Advertising in comics is awesome, but there's so much stuff to break through. You have to find, I think, a compelling way to stand out. Mm-hmm. And my other thought was if Kotaku or some of these other websites, obviously there's a ton of overlap with video games and comics. If we could sort of raise awareness for the book by animating these things, I feel like we would get that money back one way or another through sales, basically, And yeah, he gave us a good price, and he's working his ass off. And I also think it's a good way to tweet it and to remind people, hey, it's coming out this Wednesday. Here's the next installment. So what we want to do is release short 8-bit Nintendo style recaps of the issue that came out the previous month. So for the next one's going to be Bruce getting the whip out from underneath the floorboards. So it's like a Castlevania type screenshot where he picks up the thing and two objects fall out. And
I love
that. Was
those.
Kind of the idea that was. Thanks, man.
Gives me that nostalgic feeling because I grew up playing those types of games too, and I just think it's a cool crossover and very smart marketing to bridge that gap between not just comic fans but also gamer fans, but also guys of my age that they're wanting these types of stories in through the Black Label. I really enjoy them. I think they're cool.
Thanks, man. My hope is to talk to DC's video game or Warner Brothers animation and ask what the process of getting a Switch game made, a Castlevania style game, but with Curse of the White Knight. That's a totally blue sky, probably never going to happen thing. But I thought this might raise some eyebrows.
Your pitch to them for that is a good idea. It should be somewhere along the lines that's some of the best advertisement there is because so many people play those little Switch or phone handheld games. and it's fucking brilliant because they got to keep playing and earning points and unlocking shit, and then the advertisement comes up and it just gets etched in their brain. Like that is, that would be amazing, man. Because I'm seeing this new trend of comic book advertisement everywhere is big. I mean, they were doing it for Tom King late night. Scott Snyder had his thing for The Last Night on Earth. That like, that
was so cool.
Imagery. And that what you're doing is brilliant too. And I think that's the direction to go in, man. And you know, to have that bridge from people that might not be aware of these books to get into them. It would be. I think it's something that they should really tap into.
I just saw an animatic of an advertisement that they're doing for White Knight, and they actually rendered a 3D model of my Batmobile with flames coming out the sides, and this thing is driving through Gotham, jumping over rooftops and whatnot. And in the windows of these buildings are panels from Curse of the White Knight, and they have like a great voice actor doing it, and sound effects and music, and it's killer. Like I was geeking out when it's like I'm so honored to have it, rendered 3D.
Another cool thing that had been going on was that kid on YouTube, Patronic, however you pronounce it, was doing the motion comics of White Knight Volume 1.
Yeah, man, I saw that. I thought it was amazing. I thought, again, this is great advertising. So I backed his Patreon for a year just to help him out. He's a young guy looking to get, So yeah, I helped him out. I said, hey, man, you don't have to do any more of these. I'm just flattered that you picked my book. If you want to do more, I'm always happy to retweet you. So if you need some cash, here you go. Good luck. So yeah, and he's super enthusiastic, and those things are really awesome.
It's one step closer to people seeing the potential of this maybe being adapted into animation. Hopefully one day soon. Just let it keep growing. Because this universe you're starting to really build and ground.
I mean, we'll have to see how the sales are in Volume 2. If Von Fries does well, if I can work with Brian on a African American Robin. Well, who knows? Like, I don't know what kind of band I have to take charge of a whole universe while I'm writing and drawing my own thing at the same time. If DC is willing to give it a shot, like there's a handful of writers that I'd love to work with, including Mags and Blake, a friend of mine. I talked to Hope recently, and just sort of putting out feelers to see who's interested, but I can't really guarantee anything yet.
We'll always support it because we understand.
Thanks, guys.
We understand the kind of talent and focus you have.
Oh, thank you.
To everyone listening, do not forget this Wednesday, which is July 24th. 24th. All right. So the New York humidity is making my brain sweat. But yeah, this Wednesday, July 24th, Curse of the White Knight, issue number 1, the follow-up to White Knight by Sean Murphy. Make sure you pick it up at your local comic book shop or have it ordered wherever you get your comic books.
Hey Gotham dwellers, make sure to stop everything right now and subscribe to Bat Force Radio. We can be found on iTunes and SoundCloud. Don't miss out. Guaranteed to satisfy all of your Batman and DC needs.